Quite a while ago, I came across content about PDA, pathological demand avoidance, or some people are now suggesting that it be changed to persistent drive for autonomy. And I immediately showed it to my fiancé because I knew he would relate to so much of it. And I initially thought that it made so much sense for him and would provide so many answers for him. And I was absolutely right that he relates to a ton of the symptoms of it, even things that he hadn't specifically shared with me, but that we've come across in PDA related content, he can relate to. He really struggles with feeling pressured to do anything, and things can be demands in his perception, even if people just ask him to do things. And also goals that he sets for himself. It doesn't have to be an external demand. It can be a demand that he feels he has unintentionally given himself. And basically, once he feels like something is being demanded of him, it's he can't do it. He feels so much pressure that he just shuts down, and it's just overwhelming. Recently, it's kind of come to a head a little bit because of it's become an issue with his job situation, which hadn't been a problem previously. And so because it's we're struggling to accommodate it more, he brought it up with both of his therapists, his individual therapist and our couples therapist. The individual therapist seemed to kind of treat it like executive function almost, and didn't seem particularly aware of what PDA was. And same thing with our couples therapist. I would say he didn't focus as much on seeing it or treating it like executive dysfunction, but more was just asking a bunch of questions about it. And he talked to us about relationship with authority, and some of that did resonate too, because my partner did have a lot of difficulty with authority in middle school and high school in particular. And also kind of with his dynamic with his mom, there's some authority issues there. And it's only been 2 appointments, just one with each therapist so far, but nothing life-changing has come out of them. And neither had heard of the label of PDA, which is kind of a bummer. So I did some looking around online and found a book that was recommended. This was in an autism PDA group, and something that's a little challenging for us is I don't think he has autism. And I've seen that usually PDA is seen as a type of autism, but I've occasionally come across things where people say it can be ADHD instead, or that it can come from attachment issues or attachment trauma. And my fiance has some symptoms of ADHD, enough that when looking at a screener for ADHD, he would score himself high enough to get diagnosed. He's been diagnosed that way based on his symptoms, but when he had a thorough psych eval, they also recognized that he definitely has some symptoms of ADHD, but that they thought that they were caused by anxiety and his bipolar type 2 instead, rather than being quote unquote true ADHD. And he does have an insecure attachment style, so the attachment trauma thing might make sense. But yeah, I guess I'm just curious if other people out there are familiar with non-autism PDA in adults, or other book suggestions, tips and tricks for kind of working with this type of a brain so that you can do the things that you want to do but feel like you can't do. Yeah, I'm just curious what works for other people.